the 11 disciples made their way to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to meet him. When they saw him, they knelt in worship, though some were doubtful. Jesus came near and said to them, "Full authority in heaven and on earth has been committed to me. Go therefore to all nations and make them my disciples. Baptize them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teach them to observe all that I have commanded you. I will be with you always, to the end of time." It's a strange moment. They had spent 3 years with Jesus, listening and learning from him, spending time with him, eating with him, walking with him, praying with him, being changed by his teaching, being changed by his life, by his ministry, his presence. It was just him, and just being with him changed their lives. The next bit we know. He died and then rose again. The power and the presence of God was clear to everyone. The curtain was torn in two. Mary and the disciples and all the women and the men and the children, they were all changed by this experience of resurrection. Not only did Jesus rise again, but everyone's life was transformed. Everybody was new, different, changed. And now things move on. The 11 disciples are given authority by the risen yet still earthly Jesus. They are given authority to go out, to go everywhere, and to make disciples, to baptize, to teach, all with the promise that he, Jesus, would never leave them. It's a strange moment, but what a moment it is. They are given a worldwide commission by the Lord himself. That command, that instruction, is to teach what Jesus taught. It is to make disciples as Jesus did, to baptize in the same way that Jesus did. In other words, to carry on the story of salvation, the story of God's love, the story of life and hope. To carry on the tradition, to keep the tradition alive. So they are given power and motivation and guidance through the Holy Spirit to be the people, to be the church. So the work of Jesus is indeed the work of the church. The story of Jesus becomes our story. But let's never forget the human element. Some were doubtful, we read. Who? Who was doubtful? How many? Maybe just one? Maybe just Thomas? Maybe more than one? Maybe most of them? Feeling doubtful. Who knows? Some people might say, why had they so little faith after all that they had witnessed? Why couldn't they just trust and believe? Some might say that their doubt was a failure. I think in this situation, and I think it must be the sense of that Greek word, doubt, wasn't so much about not believing, but more to do with a degree of hesitation, apprehension, uncertainty, some confusion perhaps about just how to react to this incredible situation, this awareness of the risen Jesus. A sense then perhaps of being overwhelmed and nervous, maybe, even frozen with the hugeness of what had happened. But here's the thing. They were still chosen. They were still encouraged. They were still called, with all their doubts, with all their questions, with all their worries. They were still called and sent out. Jesus didn't say, well, maybe I'll find some other people now to do the job. I can't deal with your indecision. That's not what Jesus said. That's not what Jesus did. No, Jesus said, come along. I think you'll be okay. I'll help you. And for Jesus to say that, well, that's good enough for me, to be honest with you. That's the God that I believe in, the one who says, come on, it's okay. I can cope with all your doubts and your questions. In fact, I love you all the more for it. I love you more because of your questions. Come on, it's all right. Let's go. Trust in me. I'll be with you forever.